Yo, welcome everybody. We're doing episode 3 of Two Fans Chat, and the topic tonight is Star Wars. Okay, we're going to talk Star Wars with my friend the Stone Samurai, and I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've been getting some good feedback from everybody who's been watching the video podcast that we've been doing. And we're going to try and keep these on a regular basis, like Monday or Tuesdays. And we'll try and do maybe one or possibly two, depending on how busy we both are, because we are streaming as well. And thank you for stopping by again, the Stone Samurai. How you doing, man? How's things?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me again. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
I just got to say, Migs made me feel really self-confident about my camera angle because I can sit back, right? And that's fine, but it's not good for the camera angle. So I sit up and, make sure that my back's straight. But he always makes fun of me. It's like, I feel like I'm watching a fucking interview. So Migs, thanks for making me self-conscious.
Migs can get fucked. He can't even reach the camera. He's such a short ass.
Such a little fucking
fucker.
Short piece. I'm doing good, man. I'm glad that we decided to talk about Star Wars because one, Star Wars was a movie for me when I saw it as a kid. It opened my mind and the concept of space, right? Yeah. Before I was always fascinated by it, but Star Wars fucking threw it all into a blender. Yeah. And that's something I'm sure you can kind of go with because you were somebody who lived in the era of Star Wars. I only got to see it. I got to see it collector's edition, right? VHS collector's edition. Yeah. But I know we had talked a little bit before we got on here. We wanted to do it a little bit different. And we were going to talk about the first 3 episodes, which set up episodes 4, 5, and 6, which most of us, I think, can all agree are probably the better parts of Star Wars. So I'll let you start it up because you're the Star Wars guru, man.
I don't know if I'm a Star Wars guru. I don't know if I'm a Star Wars guru. I know more about the original trilogy like that, and I have watched the prequels. I like the prequels. I think the prequels now are getting more and more recognition, and they're getting be a part of being more accepted. Yes, there is some wooden acting in there. I get it, and there's some dialogue that's not the greatest. But like, if you think about it, like if you look at the trilogies as well, there's some scenes and there's some bit of wooden acting there. Especially like if you look at Mark Hamill, like in the first trilogy, he's kind of annoying in Star Wars. Like he's this young lad. He's got a bit of annoying. By the end of Jedi, he's such a fucking badass. You love him. Like he's a great character. That character. But in what's the name? Is it Thomas Hayden Christensen who played the young Anakin Skywalker in the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith? I kind of felt sorry for him because like his acting, yes, was very wooden in the Clone Wars, but it was really his major first acting gig. He did some like small projects. But George Lucas is not renowned as an actor's director. He does some great scenes. Like he's more of a setting up the action sequences and stuff. So when it comes to dialogue and actual getting that performance out of someone, he was not really the man. That's why the first Star Wars movie he directed, then the second 2, like Empire Strikes Back, which is considered to be the best one, was directed by somebody else, and so was Jedi. But he directed the prequels, and you can tell action sequences are top notch. Acting, on the other hand, wooden parts. But that being said, I think as the years go past, the prequels are garnering a lot more appreciation. And not only that, I think the animated series of Clone Wars has definitely helped them as well. Like the Clone Wars is an amazing series. If you haven't watched it, check it out. I'm on season 2, and I'm really liking it. Like it's definitely putting things in place with with those prequels, like explaining a little bit better of the characters and stuff, and the voice acting is top notch too. But Phantom Menace, the very official first movie. Well, if you go prequel wise, it's number 1, episode 1. You got Qui-Gon Jinn and a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not my favorite. Definitely not my favorite Star Wars film. It's probably one of my least favorites. There's some great action sequences, but probably one of my least favorites. Although I'll give it this: the soundtrack in the prequels is just amazing. Like John Williams just knocks it out the ball. Like this is the funny thing. It's like, oh yeah, Star Wars because he did the music for the first trilogy. You're thinking, oh my god, how's he going to top that? And he's like, well, hold my beer, I'll do something. And that soundtrack is friggin' amazing. It's just really amazing. He just knows what he's doing. He just knows what he's doing. But yeah, what was your thoughts? Like, did you get to see the Phantom Menace in the cinemas? Because you would have been a young lad. How old were you when the Phantom Menace came out?
I was young, but that was my era. So basically, I went to see it in cinemas. But I think the Phantom Menace was a great introduction as to where George Lucas had in mind where he wanted his vision to go.
Yeah.
Because to backtrack it for a second, episodes 4, 5, and 6 were phenomenal, and they're movies that, regardless of the CGI, regardless of whatever, they will stand the testaments of time just because of the story it tells, the soundtrack, the characters, right? Like, there's a character in that movie that you just find yourself like, I need to know more about that guy. Whether it was Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi, because you see this old man and you keep hearing all these hints and you hear that he's this great Jedi Knight, and you're like, what the fuck is the Jedi Knight? Like, what the fuck is that?
What is this shit?
Like, does that mean that he's riding on a horse that's going through fucking people up? Like, what does it mean? But it was a great introduction to that, but also into his expansion into like a Disney-esque role, which you see today. Looking back, I think I agree with you. I think episodes 1 through 3 are going to be movies that, as time goes on, people are going to appreciate them more.
Yeah.
Because when episodes 1 through 3 came out, right? Because the movies came out in the 70s. Episodes 1 through 3 came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? So there was that 30, 40-year gap to where the generation who had grew up on it, they were like, they've been demanding it since they were a teenager. And they're finally getting it. And it wasn't what they remembered, right? And of course, it's going to have a lot of negative reaction. But now there's people growing up who don't know episodes 4 through 6, right? They don't know Luke Skywalker. They don't know Darth Vader. They don't know any of that. And they're able to go back and see the buildup of these characters that we grew to love. And the acting, as you had touched on, is it the best? No. But I mean, let's be honest, some of the acting in the very first episode 4 wasn't the greatest either. I think overall, they did a good job. I will say this: Jar Jar Binks is probably the most unnecessary addition.
Did you know he was going to die in that? They're going to kill him
Well,
off.
It would have made sense, but the thing is, though, like, even though I don't agree with his addition into it, I see why. I can see why they did it, because it's a marketing tool. Right?
Oh, yeah,
you can sell Jar Jar
definitely.
Binks because it's something weird, it's something unique. He has a funny voice.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't hit too well. It had the complete negative reaction.
I think that the negativity was from the diehard Star Wars fans. That's the problem. Because, like, if you know Star Wars fans, they love their Star Wars, but they can be very critical and very, very harsh with their comments and words. As the young actor who played the young Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace, like, that kid quit acting. Like, he quit acting because because of all the hate he got online. And I feel sorry for him. Like, he's just trying to do a role, and you're given something to do. And being a young actor, I don't think it's all bad. I think personally, I think he was okay. He's a young child. He's playing a young kid. Okay, the acting is not entirely perfect. What do you want? Like some Sir Laurence Olivier stuff, he's a young child playing a young child. So he's not going to be like some... Like there's one thing that annoys me about movies when kids talk like adults in films. A kid wouldn't never say that. But it's because it's written in the script. Like, kids are 10, let them act like they're 10, Like, they'll talk about boogers and what they had and what's their favourite game and stuff like that. So I think, in a way, he played the part appropriately, and probably not the best acting, but he's a kid. He's excited. He sees all these things happening and stuff like that. So yes, the acting was a little bit wooden parts, but like I said, I think part of it to blame would be George Lucas because he's not an actor's director. He's more about setting up these grandiose, eventful battles and stuff like that. He can do that till the cows come home. But when it comes to like the pivotal points, like in Empire Strikes Back, the pivotal moment where Darth Vader tells Luke Skywalker he's his father. Like, I remember being a kid. I still remember to this day my reaction to hearing those words. I was gobsmacked. And the look on Luke Skywalker's face was genuine. Like, he was absolutely shocked by the words. And even the guy in the mask, you don't see his emotion, but you can feel it with the body language, where he's portraying it, because he's saying, okay, I'm very limited here. People can't see my face, but David Prost fucking nailed that body acting. Like, he did a really good job with the hand movement and everything. It's one of the best scenes ever in the Star Wars films. That moment, and then it just hits you, boom, and you're just like, whoa, this is unbelievable. And this is the thing I love about Star Wars, is like the character arcs and all this stuff. And for the most part, Star Wars has been like a staple in my life. I love it. I even tear up in Star Wars movies, man. I even teared up in fucking Disney Star Wars movies. This is how bad I am for Star Wars. But that being said, the prequels, for the most part, they are garnering more of a fan base, but I think people are so goddamn critical about things. They want everything to be. But like you perfectly pointed out, when you watch Star Wars, you as a young person, right? This is the first time you experienced the Star Wars theme. So in a way, this is your Star Wars. The prequels are your Star Wars. When I was a young person, I was 10 years old and I saw Return of the Jedi. Right? So the original trilogy is my Star Wars, right? Where I grew up, I got to see Chewbacca, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. Your Star Wars growing up, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Padme, Darth Maul, the Emperor, Yoda. You got Count Dooku, who is fantastic, played by Christopher Lee. God rest his soul. Yeah. He was brilliant. Like, he really. It's a shame that it's a shame that he gets killed off early in Revenge of the Sith. I would have loved to have seen him a little bit longer in there, because like every moment he's in there, he's got presence. He's got presence. The same thing like the Two Towers in Lord of the Rings. The guy has got presence, and he's fantastic. But yeah,
he slayed them. Yeah. I think just to go for a second to stay on the first film before we get through the next couple. Qui-Gon Jinn, phenomenal. I loved his character. Yeah. I was really hopeful that we could have seen some sort of spin-off.
Yeah.
A little bit more involved with Qui-Gon, just because the relationship between him and Dooku, right? Like, Dooku is the one who trained Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Right? If I understand my history correct.
I think you're right. And I'm not 100% sure. Like, just remember the stuff that you're hearing from us right now. Yes, we are Star Wars fans. And if you're reading this and you're saying, and you're carrying on, please comment below. We do not have like an encyclopedia on everything right here as a knowledgeable. We're just going by what we know. And if it is incorrect, we do apologize. But don't lose your minds, okay? But you will.
Yeah, don't flip out, because I can still beat you up. But no, I think it would be really cool to see that dynamic, because like I said, I think I remember there was a scene in the second movie where Count Dooku was talking to Obi-Wan, and he had mentioned, he was like, when I was training Qui-Gon, like, he had kind of seen the same things I seen. You'd be surprised by like what he sees as right, what he sees as wrong.
Yeah.
And just when he said that line, it made me think about, okay, what was Qui-Gon like growing up? Because we see him as, training Obi-Wan, and he's calm, cool, and collected. He's telling Obi-Wan pretty much the same things that Obi-Wan ended up doing with Anakin.
Yeah.
Except the difference was Obi-Wan listened, right? And he had control of his emotions. whereas Anakin didn't.
Mm.
But yeah, like I said, I'd love to see a Qui-Gon Jinn spin-off series or even some sort of animated series because
it could
just such an
it
interesting
could
character.
possibly happen because like now Disney is just making
They're making whatever.
Yeah, they're making whatever, but it's cool.
I think that him and then another one dude, fucking Mace Windu.
Oh hell yeah, Macy.
That's another guy that deserves his own kind of deal. Which I know they feature him in Attack of the Clones a little bit more. The animated series.
Yeah, he's really good in it. Like he is really good, Mace Windu. Only problem is when I watch Mace Windu, I'm waiting for him to go, motherfucker, I got a lightsaber, motherfucker. I'm just waiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays that role really, really well. He's fantastic in it, Samuel Jackson. But yeah, okay, so would you say that the Phantom Menace would be your least favorite or one of your out of the prequels? Yeah,
out of the three, yeah. It's my least favorite.
Because a lot of people go Attack of the Clones, but I like Attack of the Clones.
I thought Attack of the Clones was good.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I thought there was a lot more action involved because with the Phantom Menace, it felt like to be a lot of political stuff. I just felt like it bogged it down quite a bit, and I thought, wait a minute, why are they talking politics? Like, what is going on here? I want to see some lightsaber fucking action. You know, that's Star Wars, you know. But I understand why they do it because it's trying to build up the next two movies. So, but yeah, speaking of the next two movies, the Clone Wars. Did you see that in the cinemas or did you watch it on DVD or?
Yep, that's another one. Cinemas. I saw all of them in the cinemas, and I think funny enough, people hate on Clone Wars, but for me, that was my favorite.
Yeah, really?
Like that, yeah. Clone Wars was my favorite just because my personal interest. I always was like, okay, stormtroopers. Why the fuck are they all the same?
Yeah.
Why do they look all the same?
True. Yeah.
How come there's so fucking many of them, right? Like that's the stuff I thought about as a kid.
Yeah.
And then Clone Wars comes through, like, oh shit, like that's why, and that's why like the stormtroopers, like they're not as great because they're just like, you know, they're the surplus army, right? And then you have some of the other fucking like souped up stormtroopers that are like the actual clones, remnants of the clones that were left over that didn't die, and those are the motherfuckers that are the real deal Holyfield, and it's interesting seeing exactly where they come from. And then also you start to see the descendants of Anakin Skywalker because for me personally, and I've even gone back recently and watched all the movies again. But I remember being younger and seeing Darth Vader eventually have that moment where he turns on Palpatine. And I remember going like, dude, like I know Luke's his fucking kid, but he wouldn't just like Luke isn't the only reason that he's doing this for. There has to be something else. There has to be something about Luke that makes him do it. And then you watch the prequels and you're like, holy fucking shit. Like at that moment, Darth Vader realizes that Luke is Anakin, Anakin is Luke, and they are both Darth Vader. That's why Luke had that vision when he's climbing through the swamps and shit of Darth Vader taking off the mask. It was a lot more than Luke just seeing that he was his, that Darth Vader was his father. It was that if Luke didn't learn how to control his emotions and master his emotions,
he's gonna be ending up like his dad.
And also learn that as important as his friends are, that it's not up to him whether they live or die. That was the important thing that he had to right? Because he had his attachments with Leia, he had his attachments with Chewie, and with Han, and with everybody else, right? But he had to learn that he can't have those attachments. If they died for him to do what he needed to do. And Anakin was never able to see past that because he saw when people died, that was his failure. That wasn't people dying so he could do better. It was him. So I love that movie from a standpoint because you see the descent.
And not only that, you see another cool link as well. Is Jango Fett, who's Boba Fett's father, who's a clone, which I loved. How he just said, "Look, I want a clone of my own, like I want my son." So there's this whole. That's another thing I like about the Star Wars series is this family connection, in a way. Like they have it's like, and it's really cool how they do it. That's one thing I do love about the series as well, is these connections through family. There's like a matter of family and stuff. And also that fucking fight with Jango Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they're making the clones, is fucking badass. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you think about it, Obi-Wan is becoming like a really good Jedi. But Jango Fett sort of got the one up on me there before he left, which was a really cool fight. I loved it. And not only that, the effects really good. The only time it bogs down is when you have Anakin with is it Padme? When they're sort of having that romantic bit, and that line he says, "Oh, sand, it gets everywhere." I get it. Everyone just makes a meme about it now. But there's also a really touching moment, or also a moment where you see the darker side of Anakin when he finds about his mother being sold to the Sand People and just being basically a slave, and how, like you said, he couldn't hold his emotions back. He had to go there and intervene, and then he just wipes an entire village of Sand People because he's just, and that dark side is just starting to show. That is a good film. It's my second favorite. It's not my first favorite of the prequels. I do like Clone Wars. I prefer Revenge of the Sith because like it's got that final chapter.
I want to go into that scene you just talked about because I think it's an important one that kind of gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But when he finds his mom in that camp with Sand People, right?
Yeah.
She looks at him and she begins crying, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the interpretation of that is like she never expected to see him again, and she's happy, and she's been through all this pain. But looking back on all of it, I realized, and my theory at least, she was crying because she knew that him coming back meant that he wasn't going to be what she gave him up for in the first place.
That's a good interpretation of that.
Like she realized that what he had to do there was against everything that she ever wanted for him. And the whole reason that she was perfectly fine with him going to train to become a Jedi is because she didn't want him to become one of those hateful bastards that did what he did, which was massacre an entire village. It's one thing if he would have killed the people that took her and left the women and children, but he didn't.
He killed everybody. He killed everybody.
He killed everybody. Yeah, and she knew that. She knew it. And that's what killed her. It wasn't the Sand People who killed her. It was the grief from knowing that
what's going to about to happen.
Her son wasn't able to see what she had sacrificed for him, because at first he was not receptive to them taking. Because Qui-Gon was pushing really hard. He was like, "I think your kid's the one," like Neo Matrix type shit.
Yeah.
There was the whole immaculate conception thing, right? Because she said like he doesn't have a father, he just kind of like happened. So you have a lot of this religious dogma surrounding it, and there was something that she was aware of, and she didn't want it going the wrong way. But I want to talk about that. Also, we fucking skipped over one of the best fight scenes, which is Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
that shit. That shit was bit.
That was really cool. I mean, in the pit when they're about to be sacrificed.
No, I'm talking about like when they encounter what's his face.
Oh, Darth Maul. Oh yeah, in the oh yeah, dude, that's a phenomenal fight sequence, and not only that, like Darth Maul is definitely one of the high points in the Phantom Menace. He is the high point of the Phantom Menace. He's brilliant.
You see him, and he just looked cool, man. Yeah. He just fucking.
You went Darth Vader. Who's this fucking guy? Like, honestly,
this dude is the truth.
Yeah. What's see, that's what really got me too, because like you kill this really amazing character off in the first film, and you're thinking, well, who's going to be? But then you get Count Dooku and all that stuff, which is still good. But I would have loved to have seen actually Darth Maul be in the other two films as well, because I just thought he was just such a fantastic character. But the way like he is in the animated series, and I won't ruin anything for you, but it's fucking phenomenal. That you need to watch that.
Yeah,
it's cleverly done. Oh, there goes my camera. What the hell? There you go. What the fuck?
Good.
But yeah, all good. So yeah, fantastic fight sequence. The guy who played Darth Maul was Ray Park, who also played the Toad character in the very first X-Men film. He is a qualified stuntman, I believe, and he does all these martial art things. He's great. He's awesome. He's such a fun dude to watch. Even though he's been a bit naughty now recently, he's not allowed to go to Star Wars conventions now. Because get this, he apparently there's a.
You noticed?
No, apparently he was on an Instagram story or something like that. He was getting oral sex from some fan, and he was drunk or something, and it got uploaded onto his Instagram.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because Star Wars is very cliquey. Those conventions are very cliquey. Like David Prost, who played Darth Vader, wasn't allowed to go to him anymore because he caused up a bit of a stink, saying, I should have voiced Darth Vader, or I didn't get to do the final scene. Because I know I get it. Like that guy was wearing that fucking suit for 3 movies, and he comes up to a pivotal scene where he gets to finally face Luke Skywalker on that ship. He's about to die, and they said, "No, we're going to get another actor to cover that bit. We don't want you to do that bit." So that would have really hurt you. I could see that. I understand it entirely, But anyway, yeah. Get back on track. Star Wars, the Attack of the Clones is your favorite. Yeah,
yeah, and then the fights in the pits, dude. And
it's really cool.
To me, I think the most pivotal part, man, is when Jango Fett starts charging after Mace Windu, and Mace Windu just fucks him up and beheads him.
Yeah, beheads him, and then
you see Boba Fett see that, and he that's the moment where Boba Fett's like, you understand why he was hunting Jedi, why Boba Fett loved hunting Jedi down.
Yeah.
You find out because he had to see one chop his dad down and ruin his life essentially. God, man, that scene right there is just so fucking good. And then also,
it's really
good. How badass is it to see these clones finally in action, dude? When you see them on the scenes where they're dropping in with the ships, and you see Yoda okay, we're going forward.
Yes, we'll go. And Yoda, I didn't like the Yoda effects too. Like when they had that puppet of him in Phantom Menace, it looked a bit off. I didn't like it, but the CGI for Yoda was really a lot better. And that was cool. And then you also had the fight with Yoda and Count Dooku as well. Yeah, which was really cool. And I thought this was going to be laughable, but it's actually kind of it's pretty badass.
Dude, you see Yoda popping off, and I remember my first reaction.
It was like, what the fuck?
I thought I was going to laugh, but my first reaction is like, that's Yoda, old and frail.
Yeah.
What would a young Yoda look like?
Young
that
Yoda
to me,
whooping ass.
That to me is a scary thought, because just think about it for a second. Yoda was jumping around nimbly bimbly like a goddamn cat and fucking throwing down.
Count Dooku's like, fuck this, there's got so much shit happening at me. But it's a cool scene.
Was sweating for me.
Yeah.
But and that's what I'm saying. But then I just I thought to myself, it made me realize that's how Master Yoda became a respected Jedi, because when he was young, who the fuck is stepping to that? Who's stepping to a little dude that's got literally limitless energy and power, especially for somebody his stature?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Anybody who's been on the streets, who's been in a street fight before,
been in a scrap.
Power's great. Power's great, right? But stamina and speed, if you got stamina and speed over somebody who's only got power, you're going to fucking win 9 times out of 10 if you got.
You're just going to wait them out when they're all tired out, and you fuck them up. Yeah, exactly.
And then you just fucking...
But that's... that sequence is actually, I was wanting to lose my shit, but I did have a couple of chuckles, but it's still pretty good. Like it's still good. And there's another thing too. For the most part, the CGI effects hold up really well too. Some of it, especially in Phantom Menace, I found to be like, oh my god, it looks so wishy washy now. But for the most part, it looks good. And also, the droids like Roger, Roger. Those guys Roger. Those guys fucking are
they're
funny as fuck.
I like them.
Roger.
I just remember like a couple of scenes where they're like halt, do not keep moving. They'd be like, oh, this is no. It's they're like, wait a minute, no, you don't, and then they just start, you know what I mean? But another great character that gets introduced in this series in the first 3 installments, General Grievous, who is a very, very interesting character, right? Like, this awesome. Is a guy. You see him and he's like this cyborg that's coughing and sick, and you think that, you know, he's got like Yoda syndrome. You see this really frail and weak being, but man, when he pulls out them fucking lightsabers, man, boom, boom, and then the other arms come out like Goro. That shit's and then brutal. Of course, I think Attack of the Clones goes into it a little bit more. And there's of course a lot more lore with the Star Wars world, but you end up finding out that like those are all lightsabers from Jedi that he faced on and ended up. They're like his memento.
Because I think I think the backstory is that the planet that he lived on, General Grievous, was destroyed by the Rebel Alliance or destroyed by Jedi or wiped out by Jedi. I'm not 100% sure. I know someone whoever's watching this will fucking correct me. So he had this huge hatred for the Jedi, had a huge hatred for the Rebels, and basically wanted to soup himself up, and so he made himself like half man, half machine to be more dangerous. So and that's why he's way he is, and his lungs, why he's coughing all the time, is because I think someone crushed his chest. I'm not too sure which Jedi was. I don't know if it was Obi-Wan or was it or Mace Windu or Qui-Gon Jinn.
It might have been Mace Windu or someone.
Crushed his chest. That's why he coughs.
He's a really interesting character, and he was also great. Somebody. And in the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. He was trained by Count Dooku.
Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure that.
And he was also trained alongside Darth Maul for a bit before Darth Maul had passed away, because the way, from my understanding, and again, this is just from a casual fan, I'm not a diehard.
We're not diehards, we're just talking about our end.
But from my understanding of it, the way that Palpatine was trying to line everything up was that he was going to have Darth Maul, Grievous, and Anakin be his like 3-headed dragon, essentially. To fucking run everything. Because when you have 3 people with that much power and that are that young, you can kind of let them rule each of their thing, control all of them, and then you get to have all the fun. So it was just really cool getting to see the dynamic between all 3 of them, and just seeing how interconnected all of them were, and then how Palpatine was able to manipulate all of them. Because one of the things about Darth Maul was the people that he came from hated Sith, they hated Jedi, they hated the Force, right? It wasn't about not liking Jedi or not liking Sith. They hated them both equally. And Palpatine was able to corrupt this guy so much to go against his whole belief, his whole lifestyle. And it's a great highlight of how powerful the dark side really actually is.
Yeah, how they can sway people's influences and stuff is definitely true. All right, well, we're going to move it to the third one in the film, in the series. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this one is my favorite. I like this one because I feel like it's a good closure. I think Hayden Christensen's acting is way better in this one. Like, I feel like he's more comfortable with the role. Yes, at the end, that's the one thing that sort of like annoys me about is the social media aspect of things, is how they meme everything, and then you can't look at that scene or you can't watch that particular part now because you just picture a meme or something like that, where they just ruin it for you. But on the day this movie came out, before the whole meme thing became like massive. Like a lot of people loved this film and reacted quite, you know, like with emotion and stuff, from what I remember. And especially that final scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Yes, the acting is wooden in parts, but not as bad as the other films where we had a lot more sort of acting bits that were a bit. But that opening sequence we have like that spaceships flying around everywhere, just destroying each other. Like I know that the interaction between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin is really good. Like you can see that there's some history there now. This is obviously later. There's some good history there. The effects are top notch, really good. I think this one has the best effects out of all of them. But as things progress, in movie technology, of course, the effects get better. This one I definitely really like, and it's definitely up there in the prequels. I think is really good. I still like Attack of the Clones. I think it's really good. Is it Attack of the Clones? Yes, sorry, I keep saying Clone Wars for some reason. Because
it's because the animated.
Yeah, because the animated suit. Yeah, but it's I think it's really really good. Like I said, General Grievous is a great villain, and of course the Emperor is just such a cunning.
Deceptive little fuck.
He's a deceptive little bastard, and he's also a really strong point. A really good character through the films as well. Like he carries the film well. The guy who plays him, I forgot his name. Someone will correct me, but he does a really good job. He does a fantastic job just playing both ends, rebels and stuff. Oh yeah, you know, it's done really well. It's done really well. Less politics, more action in this one. I just. Well,
I mean, the thing is though about the politics thing, right? It's like politics has always been an emphasis of Star Wars. That's how we get the whole story. It's about a government that is failing its people, and a populist movement that starts about that is able to gain numbers because again it's a populist movement and how corrupt it is, right? But 3 does a good job of balancing the political aspect of it and presenting it in a way where it's not boring and it doesn't seem like they're trying to force it down your throat.
Yeah.
Because I think with 3, the first 2 are build up, right? It's it's kind of like filler almost, and then 3 is finally the main theatric point. And you see everything start to move in order. You see the execution of Order 66, which is like.
Yeah, that scene is really badass. Like, and it gets you too. Like that music, that like I said about John Williams' score, that music hits you, and you're seeing all these Jedi's falling because they've been betrayed. But you also got to think: 1 minute these Clone Wars were fighting side by side, like comrades, and next thing, all they got to do is execute that order, and boom, they're a slave. Yeah. They're done. So, yeah, it's a great scene. Yeah, exactly. It's a great scene too. Like it's done really well. And there's some lot more. And also like the fight between the Emperor and Yoda was pretty badass. I liked it. Some over the top wizardry. But see, this is another thing that I was watching a YouTube video where they were saying how good of a lightsaber. Like how good would you be with a lightsaber? Or like, because they're saying they were saying too much acrobats and stuff like that. But if you think about it, like the first Star Wars, when you see Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader fight, it's not the greatest scene. Like they're not really trained professionals to fight. It's a bit, you know, it's a bit hit or miss. But they're also older characters, so I'll give them that sort of sway. Okay, but you got to remember the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're at their prime. They're young. They're eager. They're hungry. They're at the prime of being a Jedi. I think the acrobatics and stuff is good because I feel that they would do anything they could to win on that fight on the fighting grounds, and I feel that is really, if you was like on your peak condition, a proper Jedi, you would do all that. You know, I would say. And not only that, it does. I think it adds more to the scene, because you don't want to see like just an average fight. If this is a person who can actually use a force or have some sort of superiority over you, they know something, then you got to sort of like prove it. So I can understand why that looks way better and stuff like that. But and not only that, and if you think about it, like every trilogy of the films, there's been a different fighting style. And like with but like we can explain it later. But I feel there's more theatrics and more I think the fighting. I like the lightsaber fights in the prequels more than I like in the other films. Simple as that. I just think they're choreographed really well. You can see that they actually people fuck off, Moth. Get out of here. You could just see it was well more choreographed than the other two trilogies. You can see that these people done really well. And they put a lot of heart and training, and it's good to see that they do that. I get attacked by a moth, you get attacked by a cat. But yeah, dude, fucking cats.
All good over here.
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on Revenge of the Sith?
I love it, man. Just I know I said Attack, or rather Clone Wars is my personal favorite. However, I think Revenge of the Sith is the best out of all three. Just because the acting gets better, the chemistry is there. Everyone's finally comfortable with one another. You see another assassination attempt on Padme.
Yeah.
And you see the fact that Obi-Wan was doing the right thing, which was using her as bait. And Anakin didn't like that concept because he had grown attachment.
Yes.
Which is something that you're not supposed to do as a Jedi. You're not supposed to have attachments. You can love, right? And you can have appreciation for things, but you can't be attached. And so it was good seeing that part. I loved the battles in it, whether it was space battle that it opened up with that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Everything else, and it was really good. And then I think everyone's part that they at least think about when they think of this movie is when Anakin goes in with the clone troopers and starts massacring everybody at the Jedi Temple, including the young Jedis that are trained in Padme. That part was just so trippy, and I just remember kind of chuckling for a minute. It's gonna sound fucked up, but I chuckled. But there was that part where he turned around, and it reminded me of like Michael Jackson Thriller at the end of the music video. Where he turned around, like, like that's what it made me think of, because he turned around and his eyes were all yellow and like looking creepy. But yeah, I think 3 is a great way to wrap it up because you see. By the way, Ewan McGregor fucking slays his role in that movie, as far as I'm concerned.
He is great. He honestly is, to me, the new, like. So Alec Guinness is did a wonderful job as Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? It was great, but I think to everyone now, Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, he portrayed that role so well, and I don't even fault his acting in the whole 3 films. I think his general performance of the whole 3 films has been pretty solid, if not better in the 3rd movie. It's like he's pumping out his soul in that last bit. I loved you, Anakin, as a brother. And like, you know, and I know a lot. And that's another scene where it's been memed. People meme the fuck out of it. But if you just sit there and watch the film, like, I think you appreciate it more. You appreciate the film. You appreciate what they were doing. And it's a great movie and a great act, and like Ewan McGregor is like usually great in a lot of films that he's in. He never really makes a dull performance. I don't think he's whatever he's in, he's watchable. And I think Hayden Christensen did a lot better job as as Anakin. I think he did way better. What's the name who played Padme is what's her name?
Tip of my tongue. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, she did a good job too. But I think for me, right, the reason 3 is great I think it's a great setup for the standalone series that we're about to get, which everyone's excited about, right? The Obi-Wan standalone series.
Oh yeah, Natalie
And
Portman, that's the one.
Natalie Portman. But I think again, 3 did such a great job because you see in the first one, Obi-Wan, he's just like really, really young. He's basically like Anakin's age that we see him in 3.
Yeah.
And he's with Qui-Gon Jinn, who's this established person.
Mm.
And then you see him take on the role that Qui-Gon had to have with him. And you're constantly seeing the moments of realization of Obi-Wan that he's failing.
Mm.
Right? Because ultimately, like Anakin was just a kid and he was thrown into this world, right?
Yeah.
You can't necessarily blame him for having the reaction that he did.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan understood that, and that's why he had such tremendous guilt because he realized that he didn't do enough to make sure that Anakin felt appreciated, that he felt understood, because Anakin never really had a father. And Obi-Wan at one point realized that Anakin looked up to him as a father, and Obi-Wan failed him in that regard because at some point Obi-Wan realized that even though he's not supposed to have attachments, right? He grew an attachment to Anakin and saw him as a son. He saw him as a son that he could never have. And just that failure, and then like you said in that final scene where he's pouring his heart out and saying like there's still a chance, right? Like just put that shit down, just come with me, come see your wife, like let's just be done with it, dude. Like pay the price, but like just be done.
Yeah.
Like you're better. It was moving, and going back watching it now, even with the memes, I still get the emotion from that scene just because it's so well done.
It's done well.
When you put yourself in that mindset, yeah, and when you put yourself in that mindset, you're just like, holy shit, dude! Like, I can't even comprehend.
I think it's done really well, and
I would be.
Yeah, it's done really well, and not only that, that musical score helps it tremendously. That musical score is just spot on through that whole scene, and and kudos again to John Williams. Maybe the scene, like the very last scene where he is now made into Darth Vader, and he goes, "No." Everyone memes that. I kind of found that a little bit corny with a no. I get it, but still, it's not bad. But like I said, Revenge of the Sith is definitely my favorite of the prequels. I was going to suggest something. People talk about Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. Right? Do you want to just go straight into the new Disney ones? Just give us our thoughts on that.
Yeah, we can do that and then wrap up with like favorite moments from the other ones. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So go ahead and start it off then.
Okay. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, was the first Star Wars movie I've seen since Return of the Jedi in the cinemas. I was really, really pumped for this one. I was super excited. I took my family at the time to go and see it, and I really enjoyed it. It was pretty much Star Wars all over again. I get it. I was a little bit peeved that we only saw Luke at the very end. I was like, what the hell's going on here? You know, I thought he's in this movie, but he's at the very end, and I get it. For the most part, I liked the characters. For the most part, this is the hard thing. You didn't know what was going on. This is the very first film. You didn't know where they were going with it. You think, okay, this is where they're going, and okay, maybe. It was really nice to see Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford was like, yeah, you know, I'm Han, I'm back. He was good.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, it's me.
I will say, I did
like
that moment, right, where they're trapped underneath.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, they're getting boarded, and then you end up seeing Chewie and Han.
Yeah.
That was a cool fucking moment.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this. I know a lot of people are probably gonna hate me for it. I like Finn, and I like Rey.
Yeah, I really liked Finn, and I think Rey gets a lot of hate, and I can see why. But I think a lot of it's got to do with social media in a way. I did feel sorry for her character though in the last two films, but as the role was acted, I think the role was okay. All right, I really did like her more in the first film. The last two movies, not as much, and I'll explain later. But that's to do with the Force, and that's the way that her character is written. And this is where, and I can get why the fans are not happy with the film, is because when they're changing what's lore in halfway through a story, and I do like Star Wars, but when they start changing the lore to suit them, to make the story continue, or just to, with no explanation, that's when it starts peeing people off, because you're so used to, like, especially with George Lucas. Like, George Lucas had set the staples for Star Wars, and then Disney come along and they start changing things around, swap this, there, and that, and it kind of got really annoying. But the very first film, I actually liked it. I was like excited to see where it would go. And I've liked Finn through the whole three films. I just feel like they were chopping his role less and less in each movie, but he was getting very vocal about Star Wars as well. He wasn't happy with what they were doing.
But yeah, I liked Finn. I liked Rey. Didn't really care for Kylo.
Yeah, wasn't a Kylo fan.
Wasn't a Kylo fan. I thought his outfit was cool. I thought his lightsaber was cool. I thought the voice thing was cool, right? Very Darth Vader-esque, right? I just didn't like his character.
You know what?
I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it was written.
He was a bit of a crybaby. He was a bit of a whiner.
Bitch, dude.
He was a little.
He was like Luke Skywalker on his period, dude. Like,
you know what got me, man? You know what got me? I'm sitting in the cinemas there with Tyler, and the opening scene starts off for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. The stormtroopers are landing there. You see the new outfits that look fucking badass. They're shooting up people left, right, and center. And then what's his name? Not Finn, the other guy. The poor man's Harrison Ford.
Bo?
Is it Bo?
Talking about Bo? Yeah, or Poe, right?
Poe, yeah, Poe. Poe, sorry, yes. Poe shoots his gun blaster at Kylo, and Kylo just boom, freeze forces that blast right there, and you hear him talking, and like, oh my god, this guy's a fucking badass. Who's this dude? And then 10 minutes later, you see him having a fucking hissy fit, smashed his mask, and fucking have a tantrum. And I was like, okay, what the fuck's up with that? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that first moment you see him, he's like, oh my god, this is actually really cool. I like this character. But yeah, he was another character, like, in each movie, they just sort of like, whoever's writing this was really wanting you to dislike this person. But for the most part, I think Star Wars: The Force Awakens is the best one out of the Disney trilogy. I think is good because even though they're rehashing the story, I mean, yeah, we'll build a big Death Star because it worked for us for the last two times. And we'll blast some planets. Yeah, that'll scare them rebel scum. Motherfucker, you tried this twice now. You know what happened last two times? We just come in with our spaceships, zap, zap, zappity zap, and kill you motherfuckers. Nah, we didn't get it last two times. Yes, okay.
No, it's different, dude. It's different this time because it's a planet and not
it's not a spaceship, but still technically. But you know what I'm saying? Probably the
I know.
But
no, because can you imagine though that meeting though? Like you're at the meeting and fucking Kylo Ren and everybody's there, and they're like, "Man, we need something that's gonna fucking swing this shit." And then someone's like, "What about like Death Star 2.0?"
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like looking around quiet for a second. They're like, "This motherfucker's smart, dude."
Yeah. We'll just put it on an actual planet this time.
He was gonna get force choked and shit like that. He was like, "Oh fuck."
I don't know. You think with all the money that they put in this, they would have thought of a different idea. Like you look at the Mandalorian. That was a fucking perfect idea. The Empire is in hiding. They're in hiding right now.
Bro,
I fucking love that idea.
All I'm saying is, based off of American politics that have happened, right? If they really wanted to create some sort of mass weapon that would have fucking ruled the universe, they should have made red fucking trucker hats with the fucking MAGA on the dude, and they would have been able to destroy the fucking universe, man. They would have been limitless.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't use the Force strong enough.
They didn't.
The First Order.
They didn't. They were like,
changed it now. It was the
Death
First
Star
Order
2.0.
Yeah,
that's what the fuck we're going.
We'll just go to another planet. We're going to another planet. But there was some
you
really
know,
cool
the best
moments.
part about it is like they were like, you know what, dude? Last time we got fucked up because there was a weakness in it, like a really small like chance that they get it. Let's make another one with the same exact thing.
Yeah. Well, but if you was gonna make a planet like a destroyer, you want to make it foolproof. Like, there's no way of fucking anything up. Listen, but if you do fly over here and you just drop your proton energy pill down there or some shit like that, you can fuck us up. Okay, but on the high notes, having Han and Chewbacca and Princess Leia, Luke pop in, that was cool. Only downfall, not to see them all together was a real bummer.
Yeah.
It was funny though, is not funny, but the moment Kylo kills Han.
The funny part. Well, yeah, that's so funny.
But no, it's Tyler's reaction, because like Tyler went, "You motherfucker," in the cinema, loud. Yeah. He went off. He was like, because we didn't expect it, and that was it. Tyler hated Kylo. He fucking hated him. But the story is, like, when they were doing Jedi, Han Solo said, "Kill me off in this one. This is the last movie. Kill me off." And Luke and George Lucas was like, "No, I'm not gonna kill you off. You're a pivotal character. You're fantastic, and we can't kill you off. You know, that could be like spin-offs or something." "No, I don't want to do this anymore." And he's like, "Just kill me off." But he's like, so he wanted to get killed off, and I think this was one of the reasons why he did this movie, like to say, "Okay, I'm 100 years old now. You're gonna have to kill me off for this one. I ain't coming back." But they killed him off, and he was happy with that. But the movie did fucking huge bank for Disney. All right.
Yeah. They made moolah.
They made a lot of moolah out of it. But I did like it. The soundtrack though,
nah,
nothing. There's nothing. Yeah. It was not really. It didn't blow me away. There was nothing there to blow me away, the soundtrack. All right, now to, if you want to go to the next one.
On to the next one. Yes, let's shoot through these, bro.
Yeah, okay. We're going to talk to, is it The Last Jedi? Yes, the one that, this is the one I think that gets the most hate out of the Disney trilogy. Right? Just remember that there is some points that I do like in these Disney films. I'm not going to go full on hate. It's nice to see old characters come back. There is some great action sequences. Yeah. The lightsaber fights are good. They're better than the ones in the original trilogy, but I don't think they're on par with the prequels. They're just they look like a bunch of actors swinging swords. Anyway, the Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This one really irked me. This one really fucking irked the hell out of me.
Before you go onto your rant, I'll just say this. Why don't we just tie the last two together, because it'll be easier, because sometimes I get them mixed up.
Oh yeah, okay. So The Last Jedi and
Return of Skywalker, right?
Return of the Rise of Skywalker. So okay, we'll mention so The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. Okay. Which one do you hate the most, should I say?
I don't know, man. They're both so hit and miss for me. The reasons I don't like them are different from everybody else. I don't like them just because I feel like there was too many parts that were rushed, right? Like a lot of the interactions between Rey and Luke. We didn't really get to see a whole lot. We just kind of got to see a lot of cannon fodder. We didn't really see any of the congruency that they had amongst one another. Some of the fighting was okay. but you don't really see the development of anybody. Like Poe doesn't really do anything extraordinary, and you know what I mean. Like he saves the day, but he's he's like a toss away character as far as I'm concerned, because there's nothing that happens to him, or there's nothing that he does that where I'm like, I fucking love that dude. If something happens to him, I'm gonna break down.
I actually like Poe. He was one of the more likable characters at the new. Like I liked him, and I think Poe was great. But in
Poe
the Last Jedi,
but I didn't grow attached to him. Like he wasn't a guy that I was like, oh my god, Poe. He was just like, he's a cool dude, but if he dies, he dies.
Yeah, I think in the Last Jedi they made him out to be like a bit of a childish kid. Like he's been tantrums with Princess Leia and purple haired chick. I can't remember her name. Who were just saying, well, you know, we're running this ship now, girlfriend. but
I'm just gonna say this though. This is a point I always want to get out.
Yeah.
I've never understood the flack that the last two movies got when it's people talking about like, oh, I don't understand how Rey just all of a sudden becomes this Jedi Master and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay, how the fuck did Luke just become this big ass fucking master when Mr. Obi-Wan, who is super still surfboard motherfucker, barely even got to teach him anything, and then all of a sudden he just becomes one of the best Jedi fucking masters out there. But it's crazy when Rey happens it, because first of all,
she's a woman. That's what everyone's problem. Yeah.
This is what's gonna piss people off probably. To me, it's more believable Rey becoming a Jedi Master than Luke becoming a Jedi Master, because Rey was already an adventurer. She was already fit. She already knew how to do things. She already had to know how to jump around and control her body and have muscle mass and all that shit. And she taught herself how to fight, right? She had that fucking little shock rod or whatever the fuck it was. So she was somebody that was already, maybe she wasn't the best combatant, but she could fucking defend herself.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker was some whiny ass bitchy teen who's like, I just want to go with my friends, Dad. Let me go have fun. No one lets me have fun.
Yeah.
Like, that was the kid, and everybody was fine with his story becoming like this Master Jedi. But I think it's more believable the sour taste people have about Luke Skywalker. That's another thing I want to talk about real quick, and then I'll let you talk because I know you're upset about it. Luke kind of took on Obi-Wan's role of having that sense of failure, right? Luke didn't necessarily have anybody that he took under his wing, even though Mandalorian's showing us a little different now. Maybe
Mandalorian's fucking excellent. It was great.
But Luke didn't have anybody to take under his wing. But like we see the end of the second installment, right? Episode 6, and it's a celebration. Everyone's cheering. But if you go back and you look, that victory they got was a Pyrrhic victory. Yes, they won that battle, and the Empire's destroyed. But were they really destroyed? Because life didn't really get better for a whole lot of people after that.
I know.
In fact, a lot more people ended up suffering because of it, and it was something that Luke felt like he failed, and that's why he left, because he had this regret, because he lost all of these people, all of these friends, all of these people died for him to do this, because he was supposed to be the savior, and it still wasn't enough. Still wasn't enough. So for me, it was a little bit more believable to see where Luke went to. And I can understand Mark Hamill's frustration, right? Because he wanted to be more featured in the movie. And because Luke was such a prophetic type character, he probably should have had a bigger role. But I understand where they were going with it, and where the writer was probably coming from for that line, for that whole series.
I see. This is the hard part, right? You have a character who's fought limb and limb for the right. He's taught the way of the Jedi, and all this sort of stuff. So when you see this character, this is such a pivotal character about doing the right thing, and regardless whether you lose a loved one or something like that, it's for the greater good, I guess. You made some good points there. As a fan of the Star Wars series, when you see, don't get me wrong, I think Mark Hamill's role, portrayal as Luke Skywalker in the prequels is great. Like the acting is fantastic, but it's such a different. It's like this is not the Luke we grew up with, and I get what the direction was, the writing was trying to do, but when you get such a prolific character and just change their arc, do a 360, it was bound to upset people, right? Like he's gonna kill fucking Ben in his sleep with a lightsaber because he knew there was gonna be evil. The Luke I grew up would not fucking kill someone in their sleep. That's what gets you. There's like it's the way they wrote it. It's like he's got a dark edge now, and I don't know why, as a fan, I can accept that. That's just me. Everyone's got a different...
no, it's because you have it's the idea, and that's why Star Wars is so great, because Luke Skywalker's character, it's like he's good, and you have this faith in him that everybody else had. That's why I fucking love his character. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but then like, and this is purely because of the fucking writing. You go into Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, and Rey says, "But what about you said all the other stuff?" And he goes, "Oh, I was wrong." You know, so he does it. You know, and because that was just to appease fans and also appease. The problem with the Disney trilogy was, you had J.J. Abrams making Force Awakens, right? He was signed on to do one movie. And I think it was Rain. Who directed this? I know it was Rain something. Rain Johnson was directing around about the same time The Last Jedi. They didn't compare notes. They didn't, like JJ was saying. JJ should have gone up to Rain and said, "Look, this is what we're doing with the film. Does it tie in with your film? What are you doing?" There was no communication whatsoever. None. No communication on what they were going to build up. There's no interconnection. Like if you're doing like a series of books and stuff like that, or films, there's got to be some sort of tie-in. They've got to work it together like that. And that's why you got like The Force Awakens, and then you got The Last Jedi, which is a totally different book. It's just totally out of there. You got Princess Leia floating around in space. Then you got to explain it in the third film. Oh, Luke trained her. You know, it's just the writing. That's what I feel sorry for the most part, is the way they wrote these movies, is the way they're changing things to appease the films, to get them going. That's why these films, to me, suffer a lot. Like the first film, like you said, I will just make it 2.0 Death Star. They could have done. They should have had better people handling these films. There's still high points to the films. Like the action sequences are good. The effects are amazing, but overall,
just they butchered it. But I mean, let's just be honest, okay? It's hard to end something good.
Oh hell yeah!
It's really hard to end something good, and it is a difficult task. That's not excusing them, but at the end of the day, it's hard to put a cap on Star Wars. But I will say this, right? Now that we finished through that, I think the standalone movies that we ended up getting, and the standalone series with Mandalorian, and then now soon with the Obi-Wan, I think those are some of the best additions to the Star Wars universe. By far.
I agree. Like the Rogue One is what's probably my favorite Disney Star Wars film.
You know what's funny? I just caught myself having an Australian accent when I said universe. I said universe. I'm hanging out with you fucking Australian bastards.
You hang around me too long, man.
Yeah, fucking go to the universe.
Yeah, look at the universe, mate.
Universe, mate.
But you're right.
But like, yeah, Rogue One was great.
It was fantastic, and I saw that in the cinemas too, and I loved it.
Rogue One was great, and I'm telling you right now, I think they did a great job with that ending scene, where you see like basically the opening act of A New Hope.
Yeah,
where like Darth Vader comes in there and it's just ripping fucking through. That to me was just, I was like, oh, that I loved it, man.
And then again. It made Darth Vader scary again.
Yeah. it was Darth Vader. Like, that's the Darth Vader I remember.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I remember
find
as a
your
kid.
lack
That's
of faith disturbing. All that shit.
Dude,
Because he's a fucking
that was
badass.
different. And then the Solo movie, I thought that was really good.
I loved
right?
it. The more I watch it, the more I love it. The more
and
I
Donald
watch
Glover,
he's fucking awesome. He's awesome as he slayed fucking Lando Calrissian. And you know what I loved about, like I said, when I watched the Solo movie, I was like, I don't know where this is gonna go. And the more I watch it, the more I like it. And what I loved is how you see the history between Han and Chewie, this camaraderie that they have, you know, and it's so cool. And you're seeing, because when I heard about the Solo movie, I was like, oh, and this guy was like, I don't know, doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford. I mean, why are they making a Han Solo movie? We know what happens now, but then you watch it. Woody Harrelson's good, like he's with these, you know, these rambunctious bounty hunters, you know, these mercenaries, I guess, mercenaries for hire, they're just thieves. It's good. It's really good. It's got like a different take to it, but I really, really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It's probably one of my. I think that was probably my second favorite Disney film, Disney Star Wars film. I would say Rogue One is my first, then Solo, and then I'll go Force Awakens. That's my three.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Rogue One is brilliant, and what is good about Rogue One is, like you said, Darth Vader is a fucking badass. Ben Mendelsohn, who's the Aussie actor in there, who plays the officer who created the fucking Death Star. You got this guy who creates the Death Star. So there's some backstory you learn about before fucking episode 4, which is awesome. And yeah, it's great. What are you wanting, you little dweeb?
We're doing you guys ramble on about Star Wars when
Indiana Jones. Hey, we should talk about Indiana Jones some stage. But yeah, we're doing a podcast, so and I'm actually recording this, Tyler. So you need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know. I'm
good. Shut the fucking door. Get the fuck out of here.
The dogs in here?
No, get the fuck out of here.
Give him the gabagool.
Gabagool.
The gabagool.
Get the fuck out of here, you goomba.
But yeah. So just before we wrap it up, I just want to say Mandalorian, probably the best thing to happen to Star Wars. I know a lot of people are pissed off at it right now. I don't care about that.
I am, but I love the show. I'm watching season 3. Jon Favreau, Jon Favreau is doing such amazing things with Star Wars right now. Yes. That dude, just let him run everything.
He's a perfect example of what these companies need to realize, that fuck getting who's ever best in the market for, like, you know, sci-fi movies, whatever, because those people don't give a fuck about the projects they work on. They just want a big budget.
Yeah.
Get the fan.
Fuck yes. I 100% agree with you. You get a person who grew up with that stuff, who appreciates the lore as well, and appreciates the story, the characters, because the stuff I've seen in The Mandalorian got me super hard and barred up than watching the fucking Disney movies. Like the little fucking tidbits, and also just a banter between two biker scout stormtroopers just sitting there talking about who's a shittier aim. That shit is fucking brilliant. Just those little touchy moments that makes you appreciate Star Wars. And
one of my favorite. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You go, and I'll tell you my bit.
I was gonna say one of my favorite things, about that series is when I found out at one point they ended up getting a regiment of fans that dress up like stormtroopers and like do reenactment, and they didn't have enough actors, so they ended up employing this whole regiment of like fans. Yeah. And they got them to be able to be in the show. And just as somebody who's a fan, just thinking about the fact that you have a company, a director that is like, you know what, we could just, you know, work out a little bit extra budget and get a couple suits and then CGI it and call it a day. But they wanted the realism. They wanted the bodies there. They wanted it to feel real, and they got them there. And stuff like that to me is just phenomenal. But I think the thing that really points out the fact that it's a fan working on the show, not only the nods to the lore and the characters being really well done and making sure that they pay homage to the old stuff, but at the end of the show with all the still shots and all of like the art concept stuff that they do,
that's really good.
That shit to me is like nerd central orgasm. Like I fucking love it.
And even the music, like the music too. That's another pinnacle point. It's like, it's not John Williams, but the moments I've hummed the Mandalorian theme is like a stupid amount of times.
It's the soundtrack is well done because the thing is, it's Star Wars, but it's not. It's Mandalorian. It's its own universe, right?
Yeah, I think that's what's good about it. Yeah.
And you still get the Star Wars feel, but it's also got that Western bounty hunter with that dun.
Well, that's what they were trying to do. Is like, well, not only that, the whole series is trying to be like the old classic TV reels of the 60s and 50s, where he's on another adventure. Although it might be similar in style what his previous adventures was. He's got to go here and help these people till he gets something back. It's the way it's done, the direction it's done, and the characters. So you don't give a shit because of the pacing. The pacing is good too. And also, not only that, it's nice to see practical effects come back in a big way.
Yeah.
So you can appreciate. That's one thing I really like too, is seeing the makeup and not such a congested CGI fuckery like we've seen beforehand. You know. But it's really good. It's a really good show. I myself loved. What season have you liked so far? Season 1 or season 2?
Season 2, but season 1's fucking great. But season 2, oh man, that season 2, just because of who they bring into it.
Oh yeah. We won't ruin any spoilers because it's still a fresh show. But yeah, there's a lot of cameos and a lot of returns back there. But yeah, season 2 is bomb. Yeah, it is bomb. And
so there's a quick moment. I just want to point out real quick. So there's a scene where we see the Mandalorian basically with a group of sand people. All right. And it's a throwaway scene, but you see them marching and you see them riding like single file line. And I think it was episode 4 or episode 5 that Obi-Wan Kenobi's talking to Luke Skywalker about sand people. And he's like, they're dangerous, they're this, and they always make sure to march in a uniform line, single file.
So you don't know their numbers.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had an Amber Alert that popped up.
Yeah.
But to show off their numbers and to just kind of have strength in case something pops off, they can spread out and mobilize and get in formation.
Yeah.
But it was just little things like that. Again, please, for anything, whether it's Game of Thrones, Star Wars, whatever, let the fucking fans work on it. Please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with you. For the most part, when it's a fan based thing, you can tell there's not only do they want to do it right, but you can see there's love and genuine work on it, that they want this to work because they're fans of themselves and they want to see it work. You know, it's not to make money. Well, it is, of course, but you can see that it's a passion project, and not only that, you can see where their thinking is coming from. They say, "Oh, we can put this from this movie and this ties." You can see things tie in really well with the show, which is done really well. And they've not only just touched into the movies, they've touched into the books, the comic books, the animated series itself. So it's really good what they've done there. And for that thing, I'll give Disney kudos on that, because like never in my lifetime where I thought I'd see this whole new Star Wars resurgence come back. You know, it's great. Be a fan right now. And that's another thing is I think what we need to probably wrap up with is we're doing about an hour and 20 minutes. Is we need to talk about the original 3, like your favorite things in the Star Wars original trilogy. What would be your favorite moments in the Star Wars original trilogy?
First and foremost, Luke finding out that Darth Vader is his father.
Oh, hell yeah.
Seeing Boba Fett for the first time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Seeing the fights between them. Slave Leia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry, that's when I knew girls are cool. I was like, hey, what's going on here?
And then of course, one of the most badass parts, man, is when Return of the Jedi. Actually, no. I might be wrong. I'm sorry, I'm mixing them up. But when Luke comes in to save Leia and to get Han back.
Yep.
And he's like, all right, you can either give me my friends back or I'm gonna kill you. And it's the first time you've seen Luke in a long time. And you're just like, man, he's this kid. Like maybe he got himself in too deep. Maybe he's fucked. And then, you know, Jabba is just like, yeah, whatever. You know what? We're going to kill you. It's going to be fun. We're going to make a game out of it. And then Luke just, like, pops off, dude. Yeah. Pops off, man. And to me, like, that was just the coolest moment because you finally see all of this training that had been built up for these first two movies. And you finally see him jumping back and forth, using the Force to get his lightsaber back.
Yep.
Chopping people's heads off. And let's just admit, Mark Hamill in the all black with the robot arm and the glove. Every kid who watched that movie wanted to dress in all black and get that fucking glove.
Yeah.
Like, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I went for that, but I was a little fat tubby kid and it didn't work for me.
Yeah, couldn't pull off the sleek black.
I look like Jedi. A licorice allsort. So, but speaking of Luke back then too. Before the film was being made, he was actually in a car accident, and he got his face damaged. So his face he had like a facial surgery done. He looks really good, like with all that, because like just beforehand, like they were concerned about would he be all right for doing it because they had to like postpone a lot of things, but he was all good to go. But yeah, that's a great scene. And also when he's fighting the Rancor monster, which is awesome. Great puppetry work there. That's what I love about those movies is the puppetry work too. Is so like it's predominant in those movies is the puppetry work in the first three films. Cat cam, but it's really good. It's done really well. And then they re-released him and they put CGI in there to cover it. It's like we should just let the puppets. The puppets were awesome. But my favorite scenes definitely was when Darth Vader announces he's Luke's father and that sort of stuff. Definitely a very awesome scene. Also the Battle of Hoth at the opening when you see those AT-ATS walkers walking around there and you got the ships flying around and harpooning and dropping them down. Bang! That was fucking epic. Love that. As a kid, love that whole scene. It's just amazing. Star Wars, I would say one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars is when you see not to fuck with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He says, I don't like you. He doesn't like you either. And he says, oh, you'll be dead. And then just Obi-Wan Kenobi just goes, whack, you know. Shit just went down. Old dude pulled out his lightsaber. Don't fuck with him. And then everyone just backs off. Okay, he's a Jedi. We need to fucking calm down. And not only that, just walking into that bar, you see all these really weird creatures and stuff like that. All the puppetry work is really cool. And then we're introduced to Han Solo and Harrison Ford now, is it? Like that cocky bravado, you know, pilot for hire and Chewie. I just love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. And in Jedi, I would have to say the Rancor monster fight scene's really awesome. Seeing Yoda die is pretty sad. That's like you see Luke, you know, seeing Yoda, there's his mentor die in front of him is pretty sad. And also Slave Leia. Oh, Jesus. You know, she was on such a strict diet to lose all this weight to be in this revealing outfit. She hated it, but it definitely made boys get excited. And also the fight too, where they're about to kill them, Han Solo and Luke, and you got Boba Fett. You know, he's trying to, and he gets into the Sarlacc pit. That's pretty cool. That scene. There's just so many scenes. I mean, but We've been talking about
yeah, we forgot about the carbonite, right?
Yeah, carbonite freezing.
Forgot about
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
scene.
There's just so many scenes.
The betrayal of Lando Calrissian and Han Solo, right?
Yeah.
Like when you see him and he's like, "Man, fuck you! I thought you were my friend."
Yeah. It would be your honor if you could join us. And I like when Han pulls out his blaster and he shoots Darth Vader. He just puts his fucking hand up, bang, bang. That's so fucking badass. And he just gets his hand up. That dude's got the force, man. That's really cool. Yeah. But I just love how Han just pulls out that gun. He don't even think. Like I think Han can handle himself. He's just, and there's also an Empire. One of the most awesome scenes when he's just about to get dropped down in carbonite, and then Princess Leia goes, I think this is ad-libbed. Princess Leia goes, I love you, and then instead of Han Solo saying, I love you too, he goes, I know. That's just such a Han Solo thing to say. Like, it's just a really, it's just a fucking blokey thing. Right? And I just love the way Empire's filmed, too. Like, Empire's my favourite Star Wars film. Hands down. It is my favourite. The way it looks, the way it's written, and not only that, it's the movie where the Empire does strike back. You know, the good guys don't always win, and that's just that was a good change too. But it's the trilogy is. I mean, we could talk for another hour about the trilogy, but I think everyone for the most part knows about the trilogy and how great and poignant and amazing those films are. But as a Star Wars fan, I think people need to get off their high horse and just say, look, okay, you're going to make some mistakes. Okay, the Disney films. Or this is what I've heard, too, about the Disney films. Apparently, they got a fuck ton of footage from all three films. And I think, is it Jon Favreau and George Lucas are re-editing those movies, and they're going to be put on Disney Plus as extended editions to explain the stories better, to explain stuff. So, God knows what they're doing there. I mean, they could totally different movies. There was one thing. See, that's the thing I don't like. Even though there's some scenes in those movies or things that they've done in those films I didn't like, there's still things I did like. And I think that, you know, like the scene where the Death Star was like they were looking for parts of the Death Star, and Rey finds it, and there's that little nod, you know, where she's standing where Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader fought while the Emperor watched on. That was really awesome. I just liked that scene. And then her and Kylo Ren have a fight on the outskirts of the old Darth Vader or the old Death Star. The water's crashing there. It's a really awesome scene. And then you see him talking to his dad, who's, I don't know, is definitely not a Force ghost, but it's obviously in his head. Just those scenes are actually pretty good. I thought that was good. But then they just fuck it up and go, you know, I can just do this. Like, it's just the Force things what they do. It just really annoyed me. And it was nice to see the Emperor come back, even though it's like, how? You know, like, okay, cloning, okay, I know that the cloning is in the canon, but, yeah, I don't know. But either way, for the most part, I think also, like I said, your generation is the prequels, right? My generation is the original trilogy. The generation that's growing up with Disney, this is their Star Wars. And when they're 20 and 30 and they're still making Star Wars movies, they're probably going to hate on the new ones and say, well, this has happened, Kylo Ren and Rey, you know what I mean? Every generation is going to be different. Every generation is going to have their own trilogy, you know? And I think, for the most part, as Star Wars fans, we need to just bypass that and just
ease the fuck up.
Exactly. Ease the fuck up. You're getting stuff now.
Because this is the thing, right? Like, nothing's ever going to be perfect.
No.
Right?
You're not 8 years old anymore. That's the part.
Can at least admit, yeah, but everybody can at least admit that Star Wars is a great franchise. It has allowed for some great bonding moments with people, right? Whether it's father to son, brother to brother, uncle to nephew, aunt to niece, whatever, right? And the thing is, the story of Star Wars is not always going to be here, right? At some point, it is going to be done. So appreciate what the fuck you got while you got it, because there's not going to be another Star Wars for a long time. It's the same thing with like Sopranos. It's the same thing with everything else. There, it's not. There's not going to be another one of those in our lifetime. So enjoy it while the fuck you can, because there's nothing else that's going to come close.
I agree. Because as you touched on about watching, but like I said, you as a young child, you never really heard about the Star Wars franchise, and you watched the prequels. That was your first introduction to Star Wars, and I think that's a problem. Is like, I watch these films. I'm now in my 40s.
No. My first introduction to Star Wars was episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, okay, but you did watch them as a child, but was the prequels more your scene? Or did you like the trilogy as a child?
I kind of like the originals more than the prequels, even as a kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you know, from what I was trying to explain is like the youth that were growing up then, who probably didn't get to see the original trilogy, who first encountered of Star Wars would be the prequels. So there's a lot of people out there who didn't see the original trilogy, watch the prequels, and then watch the other ones and still prefer the prequels because it's the first interaction they had with Star Wars. Same thing with Disney Star Wars. There's going to be people who watch these ones and would prefer these over the prequels and the original trilogy. But that's just the way it is. Everyone's going to have their own favorite. Everyone's going to have a difference of opinion, like we have tonight, like we're talking stuff. But you know what? That's your opinion. This is my opinion. And just be done with it.
My opinion's right. Yours is wrong.
No, yeah, exactly. All that bullshit, you know. But just embrace the stuff that we're currently getting right now. We're getting a new spin-off series with Boba Fett, which is going to be awesome. You got the Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan. Exactly. And you're going to get the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing coming in. I think, yes, they have stumbled here and there, but where they made a stumble, then they pick themselves up and make a Rogue One. Or they bring a Mandalorian out, you know. So they're not going to please everybody. I get it. But for the most part, I think we've been pretty lucky as fans. But
I'd say so.
Yeah. But anyway, did you want to say anything else before we wrap this up about the Star Wars?
Thank you again for having me on. Always a pleasure to get on and shoot the shit with you.
It's awesome, man.
Make sure that you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Go in the comment section below. Talk about some of your favorite Star Wars movies, some of your favorite moments, stuff that you guys didn't like. And all you hardcore Star Wars nerds, go ahead and correct the shit out of us in the comments, because I know you're aching for it right now. You're like, you fucking idiot! It was not Palpatine. It was yeah. So,
I don't give a shit.
Thank you guys for listening to PS2. Thank you guys for listening to me and supporting this, because we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. So
exactly.
Thank
you. Yeah, like what he said, we appreciate everyone coming in. Like I said, we're not following the Star Wars dictionary. We're just going by what we remembered, and if it is incorrect, fine, I get it. You can correct us, whatever. That is fine. I appreciate the input. But what I really do appreciate is if you like the video, comment down below and hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate that. But without further ado, thank you for watching, and we'll probably see you next week. Bye for now.